That carbon fiber isn't trim. On a body-on-frame American SUV, it's a structural engineering statement, and it's aimed squarely at Stuttgart. By the end of this video, you'll understand why GMC put genuine structural carbon fiber, not film, not carbon look vinyl, into a body-on-frame SUV, and why that decision closes a conversation German manufacturers thought they owned. There's one materials decision in this cabin that no American full-size SUV has attempted at production scale before. I'll get there. And is the carbon bronze worth its premium over a standard Denali Ultimate? My answer depends on something the spec sheet doesn't capture. We're covering the interior, the exterior, and the powertrain. And the origin of this brief, it reportedly didn't start with a Cadillac comparison. It started with a list of Yukon Denali owners who had defected to a BMW and the single word they used to explain why. Here's the most significant decision in this vehicle, and it's not the portrait orientation touchscreen, and it's not the bronze hardware. It's the real carbon fiber, not carbon look vinyl, not film. Actual woven carbon composite on the door panels, dashboard face, center console, and steering wheel spoke. Here's why that matters. Carbon fiber in decorative automotive trim is typically surface applied, a thin veneer over an ABS plastic substrate, fine for aesthetics. But in this configuration, the carbon is bonded directly to the door skin's structural backing, reducing panel resonance frequency by an estimated 40% compared to conventional ABS. Door panel vibration is one of the primary NVH intrusion points at highway speed, and NVH is precisely where American full-size SUVs have lost ground to European competitors for 2 decades. This is GMC addressing that gap at the materials level, not the insulation level. My opinion, this is the most structurally honest interior material upgrade any American truck builder has made in this segment because it earns its aesthetics through engineering, not appearances. Speculative tech number 1, structural carbon door panel bonding. The carbon composite is adhesive bonded to the door skin's aluminum backing using aerospace-grade structural adhesive, creating a composite sandwich that resists panel flex and resonance simultaneously. Unlike decorative carbon trim, delamination failure mode is essentially eliminated because there's no acrylic intermediate layer, and the NVH reduction is a direct byproduct of the structural intent, not an added benefit. The materials case is made. What's been done with them inside the cabin is where the engineering reasoning gets specific. The two-tone seat leather deserves more attention than most reviews will give it. The lighter stone upper with diamond quilting uses a higher perforation density for improved ventilation airflow. The darker chocolate lower bolster uses a denser hide that handles entry and exit abrasion better on a vehicle at this ride height. Both choices serve a function. That's the kind of thinking that separates a well-engineered interior from one styled to appear expensive. The portrait orientation infotainment screen is framed in carbon fiber and bronze. Beyond the visual, the carbon bezel reduces thermal mass around the display. The screen stabilizes its operating temperature faster on cold starts, registering touch inputs more reliably within the first 60 seconds. For anyone who's sat waiting for a touchscreen to come fully online on a cold morning, that's not a small consideration. Speculative tech number 2, adaptive drive mode integration. The seat adjustment module in the carbon fiber housing links drive mode selection directly to seat, steering, and throttle calibration in a single coordinated output. Selecting Sport via the rotary controller simultaneously tightens the side bolsters, increases steering feedback weight, and sharpens throttle sensitivity. The engineering rationale: those 3 adjustments currently require separate inputs in every competing system. Here, one selection executes all 3. That's an interface efficiency gain, not a novelty. Where I think they've missed a step: the digital instrument cluster behind the steering wheel doesn't quite match the infotainment's display resolution and color depth. At this specification level, both screens should feel designed in the same session. They don't. The cabin makes a serious argument for refinement. The backstory behind why GMC built it this way is what changes how you read the exterior. Here's what I can tell you now. The carbon bronze brief reportedly didn't come from a Cadillac comparison at all. It came from a specific buyer profile, Denali owners, who were defecting to the BMW X7. The word they used to explain the switch was refinement. Every decision in this cabin is GMC's answer to that word. The exterior carries carbon fiber on 3 surfaces: the front fascia lower air intakes, the rear wheel arch extensions, and the rear diffuser. None of these are purely cosmetic. The front intake carbon reduces thermal fatigue from radiator exhaust air at conventional plastic surrounds at sustained highway speed, a known failure point in warm climate markets. The wheel arch carbon extensions accommodate the 22-inch bronze-tinted wheel package without adding visual mass to the body, because carbon's density keeps the panel weight neutral relative to the stock arch geometry. The rear diffuser manages airflow separation from the vehicle's flat undertray. On a high-roof, high-frontal area vehicle above 60 miles per hour, undertray turbulence generates measurable drag. The diffuser reduces that exit turbulence, translating to a real-world efficiency improvement at cruising speed. Overall length, approximately 204 inches on a 116-inch wheelbase. Ground clearance at approximately 8 inches in standard air suspension configuration. This exterior holds because the carbon elements form a coherent functional visual language. They aren't applied styling. They're present because each one solves a specific engineering problem. The exterior materials make their case. The powertrain has to back them up. The 6.2-liter Ecotec 3 V8 delivers 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. In the direct cross-shop context, the BMW M60i's twin-turbocharged 4.4-liter V8 at 523 horsepower, the Yukon concedes peak output. What it doesn't concede is torque delivery below 3,000 RPM, where the naturally aspirated V8's linear power curve is more consistent in real-world use. For anyone who's driven an M60i in sport mode on the highway, the surge character is immediately apparent. The Yukon doesn't surge, it builds. At 65 miles per hour on a freeway merge, that's the more usable delivery. Speculative tech number 3. Carbon composite suspension bushings. The air suspension's primary frame mounting points use carbon fiber reinforced composite bushings in place of conventional rubber at the load transfer interface. Rubber bushings deflect under sustained load. That deflection creates a compliance gap between the suspension's corrective input and the wheel's response. Carbon composite transfers the corrective force more directly, reducing input loss at the mount by an estimated 20 to 25%. The air suspension responds faster without any changes to the spring calibration itself. The chassis and powertrain case is complete. What it's worth and who it's worth it for is where the full carbon bronze argument either stands or doesn't. Now, here's what I actually think, and I'll be completely straight with you. Those Yukon Denali buyers who defected to the BMW X7 used one word: refinement. The structural carbon panels, the adaptive drive integration, the composite suspension mounts. That's GMC's engineering answer to that word. Whether it closes the gap depends entirely on which definition of refinement the buyer sitting across the desk is using. Pricing for the Yukon Denali Ultimate Carbon Bronze is expected to land between $115,000 and $130,000 fully configured. That positions it above the Cadillac Escalade Sport Platinum at approximately $105,000 and directly in cross-shop territory with the BMW X7 M60i at $115,000 to $125,000. That's a remarkable reframe for a GM body-on-frame truck. On depreciation, Yukon Denali retains used market value well across trim levels because demand is broad. On maintenance, the 6.2 Ecotec 3 carries standard GM intervals at significantly lower out-of-warranty cost than the X7's twin-turbo drivetrain. That cost delta over 5 years is meaningful, and it favors the Yukon materially. Here's the call. If you've been cross-shopping a top-spec Denali and found yourself walking through a BMW showroom for the interior refinement, this is the vehicle built to stop that walk. If outright peak performance is your primary metric and European maintenance cost is acceptable, the X7 M60i makes its own case. But if American V8 torque character, structural carbon engineering at production scale, and GM's service network is the combination that fits your ownership pattern, the Carbon Bronze is the most resolved Yukon ever built. At the open, I said carbon fiber on a body-on-frame SUV was a shot at Stuttgart. Having walked the full picture, structural door panels, adaptive drive integration, carbon-reinforced suspension mounts, that shot lands. I genuinely love your take, especially if you've cross-shopped a Denali against a European SUV. Drop your thoughts below. If you want to see the Carbon Bronze go directly against the X7 M60i, that video's right here. If this kind of real, no-nonsense automotive analysis is what you're looking for, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.